The last week of summer always felt strange to Noah. The days were still warm, the sun still bright, but something in the air felt different. The evenings came a little earlier, the wind was a little cooler, and the forest behind his grandparents' house seemed quieter than before. Noah was 16 and had spent every summer of his life in this small village. There wasn't much to do, no cinema, no big shops, not even a proper cafe, but the forest made up for everything. It was huge, stretching over hills and valleys, full of old trees and winding paths. Most of the trails Noah already knew by heart. But one afternoon, while walking deeper into the woods than usual, he noticed something he had never seen before: a narrow path. It was hidden between two thick bushes, almost impossible to notice unless you were standing right in front of it. The ground was covered in old leaves, and the branches above it formed a kind of tunnel. Noah stopped and stared at it. He was sure this path hadn't been there before. Curiosity quickly pushed away his hesitation. He stepped between the bushes and followed the trail. The forest changed almost immediately. The familiar sounds of birds and insects faded, replaced by a deep, calm silence. Tall pine trees surrounded him, their trunks straight and dark. Sunlight barely reached the ground. Noah walked slowly, trying to remember the direction in case he needed to go back. After about 10 minutes, he saw something unusual ahead. A small wooden cabin. It stood alone in a tiny clearing, surrounded by tall grass and wild flowers. The wood looked old and gray from years of rain and wind, but the building itself seemed strong. Noah frowned. He had explored this forest for years, yet he had never seen this cabin before. He approached carefully. The windows were dusty, and the door was slightly open, moving quietly with the wind. "Hello?" Noah called. No answer. He stepped inside. The cabin was simple. A wooden table stood near the center, and an old chair was pushed against it. In the corner, there was a small metal stove covered in ash. Dust floated in the air where sunlight slipped through the windows. But one thing caught Noah's attention immediately: a notebook. It lay on the table as if someone had left it there recently. Noah walked closer and opened it. The pages were filled with drawings of the forest: trees, hills, small streams, and paths. It looked like a map, but not a normal one. Some areas were circled in red, and next to them were small notes written in messy handwriting. One note read, "Strange lights here at night." Another said, "Footprints that disappear." Noah felt a small chill run down his back. He turned another page. At the center of the drawing was a large circle marked deep in the forest, far beyond the places Noah had explored. Under it were two words written in darker ink: "Do not enter." Noah stared at the warning for a long moment. Naturally, that only made him more curious. He looked around the cabin again, wondering who the notebook belonged to. Everything looked abandoned, yet the notebook seemed too clean to have been there for years. Suddenly a sound came from outside, a soft crack of a branch. Noah quickly closed the notebook. "Hello?" he called again. For a moment, there was only silence. Then he heard footsteps moving slowly through the grass outside the cabin. Not running, just walking. Noah felt his heart beat faster. He stepped toward the door and carefully looked outside. No one was there. The clearing was empty. The tall grass moved gently in the wind, and the trees stood still around the edges. Noah stepped outside and looked around again. Still nothing. He let out a quiet breath and laughed nervously. "Probably a deer," he said to himself. But when he turned back toward the cabin, something made him freeze. In the soft dirt near the door were footprints, large ones, much larger than his own, and they were fresh. Noah slowly looked toward the forest. The footprints continued into the trees, disappearing between the shadows. For a moment, he thought about leaving immediately and going back home. That would have been the smart choice. Instead, Noah grabbed the notebook from the table, stepped outside, and looked once more at the trail of footprints leading into the forest. His curiosity was stronger than his fear. "Just a little further," he whispered. With the strange notebook in his backpack and the mysterious footprints ahead of him, Noah stepped into the trees. The quiet forest swallowed him almost instantly, and somewhere deeper in the woods, something moved.